Good morning. Sorry for the slightly late start. Had a little hiccup here on my side, but got that straightened out. This is VirtualPBX a dash admin training. If you're a vConsole customer, we no longer have the live trainings for that. However, we do have the videos up here on our website. This is just our vConsole support page. So this advanced admin training, that's the complete admin training for vConsole. And then further down, we have all of our various guide write-ups. For our Dash customers, go ahead and go to the login page. So this is your login to get to the website or the web UI. And this is basically where you make all your settings, add users, etc. Down below that is the web phone. So if you add a web phone to the account, this is only for Dash. This is where you would log into the phone. Basically, the web phone, you use it on Firefox or Chrome on a desktop or a laptop computer. It will not work on a mobile device. I've tried. I don't know if and when that's going to happen. I do know that we are working on getting the web phone compatible on other browsers as well. And then further down, we have the login page for the vConsole. Actually, check something real quick here. Try to log out of that. All right, so Dash login goes by your email address. You'll have a password, and then the account name, which is typically going to be your company name or your business name, whatever you name the account when you signed up. If you ever forget, we have the forgot password information there. And Dash does always take a little bit of time to load. Don't know why exactly, but here we have our dashboard page. This is basically giving you a snapshot of your system as it currently exists. The top there, you got users. So these are fully functional users. They've got things like call forwarding. They can use multiple types of devices, like white phones or cell phones or landlines. These are people that you're expecting to make, who will make and receive phone calls. And they have a bunch of different features available to them. Below that, you have agents. Agents are specific for ACD queues. These are people who are typically just receiving calls in the queues. They can only make use of VoIP phones. And they actually have no features available to them. They're basically just there to take calls. Further down, these are your total devices on the system. Unregistered means that the system doesn't know if they're actually connected to us. That's typically going to be like your cell phone or landlines. And if it may include your VoIP phones, and that would indicate that those phones are not connected to us. Usually means that you might have to power cycle the device and or check that network connection. Over here on the right, you have the main numbers. So these are numbers your customers are dialing to get to your phone system. These numbers will all behave the same way. So they'll have the same main greeting, and then they'll have the same menu options to navigate through your system. The fax box number, that's for you to receive incoming faxes. And then you have your phone number breakdown. Basically, how many are assigned, how many are spare numbers. So assigned numbers means you're using them. So they're actively going either as a main number, fax box, or they're going directly to a user or a ring group. Spare numbers are numbers you're not using. You're keeping them on the account, which means you are going to be billed for them. This could be because you got a block of numbers that are in sequence and you just wanted to keep them. Numbers that you only use occasionally for specific promotions at different times. that sort of thing. And then the breakdown here is US local numbers versus US toll-free. You can have international numbers as well. Company directory, you can download this. This is basically just in-house. Here's your extension numbers or your user numbers. The account ID, you can use that in reference to your account with your communications with VirtualPBX. We actually don't expect you to rattle that off to us over the phone. We typically will just ask you for your company name. And then lastly, the account realm is used for a couple of things. One, it's used for outbound faxing. And then secondly, it is used if you're programming a third-party VoIP device. All right, up top here is the account caller ID. So you want to select one of your main numbers. Company caller ID name, or otherwise sometimes referred to as CNAME or CNOM, depending on who you speak to. Basically, this is text that is sent out as part of the caller ID information that is received to the other devices. Now, a couple things to be concerned of or be aware of, I guess. First, when you enter text here and click save, it takes about 3 business days to get populated among the various servers. We do not control all of those servers because several different carriers are involved with the CNAME protocol, I guess it's called. Now, not every phone carrier supports CNAME, and if a call routes through one of those carriers, the CNAME information doesn't get passed down further down the way. Even if a carrier supports CNAME, if they're having some sort of issue, whether it's a maintenance issue or there's some sort of disruption, that can impact whether or not CNAME gets sent. And then lastly, the device that is receiving the call has an impact on it. For example, when you call a cell phone, most cell phone providers don't offer CNAME for free, right? It's usually a paid service. So normally you'll get the number because that's just part of caller ID. But anything beyond that, you probably won't get unless you're paying for a CNAME service. And then the other concern about the device is if they've programmed your number into their phone, whatever they've named or labeled that phone number, that takes precedence over whatever CNAME information we send out. So just something to be aware of. Company emergency address or E911. You do need to have this set, but especially for VoIP phones, this is going to be the default address that's associated with your VoIP phones, meaning that if someone calls 911 from a VoIP phone, that's the address that we transmit to emergency services. So you do want to make sure that is correct. And then when you're done, you click on Save Changes. Next up, this is the hold music, or this is your default hold music on the account. You can upload a file. Just needs to be a .wav, .wav, or .mp3. Right now, the file size is limited to 1.2 megs. At least that's the most I've been able to upload recently. Our engineers are looking into it to increase it. Another thing about media files that you upload to Dash, you want to make sure they're encoded in mono, not in stereo. And we typically run 16-bit PCM, that's Paul Charlie Mike encoding. But then you would click on this icon here to upload, and then click on Save Changes. If you've already have files uploaded, since it's a test account, I have several, you can always choose from anything that's already there as well. Hours is your business hours, and this is actually technically under the main number. So go ahead and get to that. So you have 2 options, 24-hour open office or custom office hours, which is what most people choose. For each day of the week, you put a check mark that you're open. And then you set your open hours in 24-hour or military time. And then one thing to keep in mind right down here, if your whole office or location closes for lunch, you can put a check mark here and you can set your lunch hours. Right? Again, in 24-hour time. And then let's save changes. Also here under main numbers, you have your main numbers up here. You have gear icons so you can set your caller ID, the E91, etc. Oh, prepend. Prepend is only for calls going to VoIP phones, but you can add additional text or numbers to the caller ID information that you're sending to your VoIP phones on the account. Basically, it gives you and your staff a heads up about what the call is about. You can add numbers through here. So add from spare numbers means you already have the number on the account. By numbers is how the system adds numbers to the account that you don't already have. So local, you would just enter in an area code. Do a search. And then you can just click add, and then you would click by numbers. Now, if you're just newly signed up, you don't have any phone numbers yet, this is how you would add numbers to the account. You're not going to be charged for your initial phone numbers. Or generally speaking, I think most numbers have at least one included number, but I think the majority of them are 2 now. Depends on your plan. And then likewise, for toll-free, you choose one of the toll-free prefixes. And it does a search. And again, you still have that same option of what's available. And you can keep scrolling down and more will populate. Now, if there's a specific, especially for toll-free numbers, if you're looking for what's referred to as like a custom toll-free number or vanity toll-free, where like the toll-free number spells something, for that, you're going to want to send an email to porting@virtualpbx.com and give the parameters you're looking for. What do you want to spell? What numbers it has to have? They'll check against all the toll-free prefixes to let you know what's available, and you can then choose which ones you want, and then porting will add them to your account. And same for any local area code that you can't find a number. Like it'll come up occasionally, comes up like there's nothing available. You can send an email to porting. They'll search to see if there's anything available, if we have to back order that for you, or usually for a lot of those high impact or like big metropolitan areas, we'll also check the overlays, right? So the different area codes on the same metro area. All right, let's go down to office holidays. So you can set your holidays in advance. You can do a single day. So like this, January 2nd. Just note that there's no year here. So if you're fine with it being every January 2nd that you're closed, you can just leave it. But if after that time you're like, oh, that's going to change, you probably either want to delete it or change the date, right? So that's going to be the case for like Memorial Day. Probably need to change that date because that changes every year. Whereas 4th of July in the US, that's always going to be the 4th. So I can just leave that here. Keep it going. And basically, you would just click on Add Holiday. Single day. Again, you're just doing the one day. A date range means you're going to be gone for multiple days. So like right here on this fishing trip, again, I have October 1st through October 5th. For the date range, the only caveat we have is for over New Year's. Because we don't have the year information here, if you put from December 31st through January 2nd, for example, the system just puts you in holiday mode all year round. So like if you did that right now, you'd be in holiday mode. So for New Year's, right now the workaround is you just do basically you do New Year's Eve and New Year's Day, and then anything before that or after that you can do in a date range. And then you have advanced where you can say like the 3rd Friday of or I think I have one down here. Yeah, this one down here, test. All right, the 1st Monday in July. Let's be close. Again, that's one of the advanced, that is the advanced option. If you make any changes, click on Save Changes so those changes stick. Next up, we have incoming call handling. So this is how your main numbers calls are being handled. First option, in the default, calls come into your virtual receptionist. This is a link, and it'll open up a little box. And you've basically split on the two sides. So on the left is your main menu. So these are what customers press to get to either users or ring groups or what have you. And basically, you just click add a route, say, oh, you're going to be number 5. And then I can choose to send it to a particular person. That's a user, right? So that's a user. If I have ACD queues, I can send it to a particular queue. I can send it to a particular device, although I don't typically recommend doing so just because you lose some functionality of the system overall. You can also send it to a media file. So basically, you just want to play a message, and then after that message is done, the call ends, right? So the inbound caller can't leave a message or anything. They're just getting information. And then you have a group. So this would be like a hunt group, ring group kind of thing. And then lastly, you can send it to a voicemail box. So basically, hey, leave a message. And then you click save. And in this case, you also have to click save here. And that way all your changes get saved. That's kind of a weird thing that has thrown people off. Now over here on the right, this is your greeting options. Text to speech, you simply type in your greeting. Hit save, or hit update, hit save, and hit save changes. And then that's greeting that plays. And then you can just adjust it on the fly as you do it. Like, oh, that didn't quite sound right, or whatever. Upload a file, again, .wav, .mp3. You can choose from existing recordings. Record it over the phone. So this is, so this line right here, pick up a registered phone on this account. So what the system means by a phone registered to the account means a VoIP phone that's connected. If you want to use a cell phone or a landline, you'll just need to email support virtualpbx.com saying, hey, this is my account, I'm the billing contact. I'd like to be able to record my greeting with a cell phone. We have to make a change on the back end. And this is a security feature. That's why we don't have it by default to allow cell phones or landlines. But then you dial one of your main numbers, and you enter the PIN when it's prompted. Now, if you already have a greeting in place, so let's say you started with a text-to-speech and you got feedback from customers and that wasn't working for them, or they said it sounded weird, you can still do record over the phone. You just, again, dial a number, but when you hear your main greeting play, then you enter the PIN number, and then it'll start prompting you to record over the phone. And then lastly, professional recording services. We've partnered with another company called Snap Recordings. And this takes you to their page here. They have something like 100 voice actors to choose from. They have various English versions. They have Spanish, they have European French, and then they have bilingual options. They have their own pricing and their own packages. So they can also do hold messages. So, right, text or a script and then background music alternating. So basically, you can order from them. They will then deliver or send you an email basically with the files, and then you can upload. All right, this option here in the middle, or option 2, this is typically if you want someone to have a chance to answer the call, and then if they're not able to, the call goes to the virtual receptionist. All right, now, typically it's either gonna be a user or you're probably gonna have like a ring group. All right, so in that case, you have multiple people who might be able to answer the call. They're all busy. You know, it's a busy day, whatever. Inbound caller then goes to the virtual receptionist, which again has those same options we had previously. And then option 3, this goes to a user or a ring group, what have you. If they're not able to pick up, it goes to voicemail. This also has an additional option of just skip it and send the call right to voicemail. So for, let's say, Thanksgiving Day, you know you're going to be closed. You're like, hey, just no matter what, for all these options, we're just going to send them to voicemail. Notice up here you have different tabs. So you can, again, set up your routing and your virtual receptionist differently depending on your, this is what we do when we're open. This is what we do when we're closed. This is what we do during the holidays. And then if you're closed for lunch hours, there'll be a lunch hours tab as well. So you can route things differently depending on the time. Next, you have your main fax box number. Again, if you're planning on receiving faxes, you do need to have a fax box number assigned. And then if you click edit next to fax box, you can enter in the email address of the person you want, or the list, if you have an email list on your server, of who gets the faxes. And then the fax is just sent as a PDF file. Next up, we have numbers. So these are the numbers on your account. Tells you where they're being used. Here's your spare numbers. So these are all the numbers that you're not using. You can, again, add more numbers here. This is also where you can initiate the port process. You just click on new port request. You enter in the information. Basically, you would just follow the screens. In fact, that's there we go. So this will show the actual screenshots versus me creating a whole new port request. But essentially, this is the main part here, is you need to have service on both sides of a port request until the port completes. Right? So if you cancel too early on your former carrier, that'll cause the port to fail. That's the main thing to remember there. For local numbers, we will need a copy of the bill. Toll-free, we actually do not. And then download the LOA, letter of agency. It's basically a form that needs to be filled out that we submit as part of the port request. And basically what happens is once you submit that port request, our porting team gets involved, and they will communicate with you what's going on. So they're like, hey, we got the request. Here's what to expect. We submit the request. At that point, we're waiting from the other carrier to say, yes, it's approved. Here's the date. Or no, there's a problem with information. Here's what we had a problem with. In either case, that gets communicated to you. Users. So adding a user, pretty straightforward. You put a first and last name. You put their email address. You create a password. Now, the system defaults you to extension 1000 to start. And then it'll pick, oh, this 1005 is the next available extension in the series. Include in user directory, up to you. Typically, I say you might as well. Send emails to an alternate address. I usually leave that unchecked. The user can decide to do that later if they want. But this one, you definitely want to do is send credentials to the user. Basically, this is sending that new user their login information so they can log in on their own. And then you click on create user. So click here. Right. So here you can always, as an admin, you can change the information. You can change their credentials at this point. So if someone keeps forgetting their login, you can change it there. Voicemail box pin, again, you can set it here. This is where you can add additional emails. And choose it, put them in the user directory if you want. Here's where you can make someone else an admin on the account. So they have all the access of what we're contacting here. The downside is if you're the only user on the account on a new sign up, that means you're also the only admin. So make sure you don't accidentally set yourself to a user, click save and log out. This is what time zone you're in, language default. So users can have multiple extensions. Typically, most only just need one, but every now and then you have people who need more. Next is phone numbers, so that you can create a DID phone number directly to this particular user. it looks like everybody left. So I'm going to go ahead and end the broadcast.